Welcome to Airplay Escape. Please consider subscribing to my Patreon account for the full audiobook. Thank you for your support. Football, the strongest center in history, Episode 71, The Woman in the Corner. A new contract was signed. Ronaldo, of course, was very happy. His current contract is arguably the highest in the team. €150,000 a week. What is this concept? If converted into RMB, it is almost 1.5 million. The money he earns in a week is comparable to that of ordinary wage earners in China for 1 or 2 decades. His father and mother worked hard to open a shop and do business, and the profit was only more than 200,000 yuan a year. Now, a week for him is enough. More than 100,000 arrears, he can pay back in a day. 1.5 million a week. That's 6 million a month. That's not a small amount. So, to celebrate Ronaldo's signing of a new contract. At the same time, Ronaldo, who received a signing fee of 2 million, very generously invited a few of his friends on the team to go out together. If you make money, it will definitely cost you. This time, everyone went to a bar with high consumption. You can't order a woman in this kind of place and then go up and down her hand. Of course, if you fancy a beautiful woman, you can also take him back. That depends, of course, on your skills. It's not like in a nightclub where as long as you have money, there are a lot of women. A group of people huddled together to drink, while their eyes searched the bar for women who could make their eyes shine. Look at that, look at that. That's good. The figure is very good, but I don't know how the face is. This face is good. But the chest is small, but it's a pity. Oh. This is good. Last name sense, that leg. It's so long, what a failure of this makeup. I don't like brown hair. I still like blonde. A group of hooligans were so kind to every woman they could see in the bar, but fortunately the music in the bar was so loud that no one else could hear them. So they commented on the women in the bar one by one, and then counted to the corner. There was a woman alone, her back to everyone, out of place in this lively and noisy environment. This woman. It seems to be a bit hunched. Gee, is it because you don't have confidence in yourself, so you sit in the corner? And big black sunglasses. A group of people judged. I feel okay. As soon as Ronaldo exited, he was ridiculed by everyone. Just by looking at the figure, you think the figure is okay? You're so demanding, .. The crowd laughed. Then Ariela touched her chin. Compared with what everyone has played before, this time seems to be much lighter. Don't care if that woman is a beauty, it's strange for people to drink alone, do you want to invite her over? Ariela said, pointing to the back in the corner. Then everyone looked at Ronaldo. Hey, what have you seen? Who just said that this woman's figure is okay? It seems that Luo has a very good impression of this woman. Under the booing of the crowd. Holding his glass, he looked at the woman sitting alone in the corner, and at the brothers behind him. A group of people squeezed their eyebrows at him. Go quickly, we are waiting for the news of your victory. Ronaldo gave them a middle finger before turning and walking slowly towards each other. This bar is not the kind of classic bar that whispers and sips softly, it is very noisy, and even a bit like a club. So the music was loud and the men and women on the dance floor were having crazy fun. But in this way, it became more and more lonely for the woman in the corner. If you have something on your mind, it seems that you shouldn't come to this kind of place, right? Coming to such a place should not be this kind of performance. Ronaldo walked over. He found that the woman was wearing huge sunglasses that covered almost half of her face. But this is not unusual, now many fashion and beauty girls like to wear sunglasses. He stood beside the woman, then turned to look at his teammates over there. They continued to wave to themselves, lip-syncing themselves, and telling themselves, come on. Ronaldo pouted, turned around and sat directly opposite the woman. The woman in sunglasses looked up at him. Ronaldo smiled at her. Did I disturb you, beautiful young lady? Is there something to find me? The woman spoke, and her voice was quite good. As far as Ronaldo could see now, she had a towering nose, a fair complexion, and slightly curly blonde hair. After turning to the front, I also saw her chest, not too big, but not small. At least wearing a low-cut suspender, there is still a hook. When I looked around the bar, I saw that everyone was very happy, but only you, who was drinking alone in this corner, did not fit in here. So, are you going to drive me away? Women are in a bad mood, and their tone is naturally not good. If a man dared to speak to Ronaldo like that, he wouldn't mind driving the other away with actual actions. But in front of beautiful women, Ronaldo is still quite personable. He shook his head. No, I just want to talk to you, maybe I can make you feel better? The woman on the other side suddenly laughed when she heard him say this, but soon her expression darkened again. Are you happy? She asked. Sort of, Ronaldo shrugged, I'm doing well now, I've made a lot of good friends, and we have a very good relationship and have fun. I can't think of anything that requires me to frown and drink alone. Hearing him say this, the woman raised her head and looked at Ronaldo again, and only then did she realize that the other party was not French. You're not a local? She was a little surprised. I'm a celestial being. But I work in Paris. Ronaldo didn't tell the other person who he really was, he just invited a woman over for a drink and chat, and he didn't feel the need to tell who he was. It's strange. The woman smiled again. I had the impression that the people of the Celestial Empire work diligently, but they don't come to this kind of place to play. Your impression of the people of the Celestial Empire is still stuck in the last century, right? The current Celestial Empire people are also very good at playing. Like what? Ronaldo pointed to himself. Wow, it seems that Luo and that woman are having a good time. Did he go to pick up a girl, or did he invite people? It turns out that Luo likes this type of woman? Around the table where his teammates gathered, a group of people were talking about Ronaldo and the woman. I always feel like we let Luo pick up a big bargain. Look, he's having a good time talking to a woman right now, and what about us? Men are men, but those around, who proposed to let this kid Luo go in the first place? Haven't you had anything sad and upset? The woman obviously drank high, and she began to chat with the stranger in front of her, shaking her head and a little excited. Why not? Of course there is. But I have an advantage in this person, I will find reasons for myself. Haha. Ronaldo laughed. He also seemed to forget that he had come to invite this woman over to play with him and started talking to her. In short, you can't be crushed by those things, you have to find a way to decompress yourself. If there is no reason, it really can't be reduced? Then beat it back. Do those troubled and sad mothers. Ronaldo burst into foul language. The woman was stunned for a moment, she didn't expect that this handsome guy in front of her suddenly burst into foul language. With a few glasses of wine, the two also chatted. Women seemed to like Ronaldo's candid personality. At first, the woman was a little surprised, and then she seemed to be aroused by emotions, and a smile appeared on her face. Every time Ronaldo said it, she burst out laughing, and eventually simply fell on the table, shaking her shoulders and laughing. This jealous hater. It was very happy to see the woman laughing by Ronaldo. A group of lonely men soured. Why didn't I go, damn it. Desperate. I despair of this world where women like Luo. In the wailing of a group of lonely men who were envious and jealous, Ronaldo and the woman had a glass of me, drinking and talking, very happy. Episode 72, French national daughter? Adele Exarchopoulos is going crazy. The French post-90s boss Wadan, after waking up in a daze, found himself in a strange room. It's simply drove the French actress crazy. She had a headache, but she couldn't remember what had happened last night. She only remembered that because of some work matters, the depressed Adele was distracted in Paris and accidentally walked into a bar. Then, she met a man. It seems that the conversation is quite happy, and the two of them drink a lot together. Man? She woke up suddenly and turned her head to look as expected. Beside her, there was indeed a man. She suddenly grabbed the quilt, and then exerted her strength to breastfeed and kicked on the strange man. Ronaldo is still dreaming. He suddenly had a pain in his lower back. When he woke up, he found himself falling under the bed. He looked up with a confused look and found. The scene is familiar and unfamiliar. Familiar because this is his home. Strange, because he had never looked at the room from this angle. And the head of that little blonde beauty exposed on the quilt. A woman? A woman? Ronaldo shook his head. When did you bring a woman back yesterday? What did I do yesterday? Looking at the woman's angry expression, Ronaldo did not have any more memories. All he remembers was drinking at a bar with his teammates. And then? It's drinking with a woman. And then what happens? He doesn't remember. What is going on here? Ronaldo, who was broken, had a headache, but he couldn't remember the picture last night. What the hell did I do? Ronaldo looked confused. Adele glared angrily at the man in front of her. Doesn't he remember what he did to himself yesterday? I don't know what I did yesterday. But isn't it obvious enough now? A man and a woman. In bed. What can be done? She regretted it very much now. Just now, you should have directly drunk yourself with this vile and shameless person, and then kicked your own bastard hooligan into a waste. Ronaldo, calm down now. If you accidentally put someone there. Belch, she won't sue herself, will she? When Ronaldo thought of this, he was a little apprehensive. This kind of thing is nothing new in world football. This has happened several times in the Premier League. It's just that his career has just started. Isn't he going to be ruined by this kind of thing? No way. You have to communicate with each other. Convince people with virtue. That. Ronaldo tried to communicate with the strange woman. Wang beg. Adele scolded angrily. This. Despicable. I think. Bastard. Are we? Go and die. Enough. Ronaldo was not originally a good-tempered person. His speech was repeatedly interrupted, and he couldn't hold back and yelled at the other party. You me. Thinking there, this little Nizi's voice was even louder than him, pointing to the door and shouting. The voice startled Ronaldo. He wouldn't have been surprised to know that Adele, in addition to being an actress, had studied music and was a soprano in front of her. Ronaldo froze for a moment, and then reacted, "This is my home." Adele also frowned. Then she reacted. Angry and devastated, Adele lifted the quilt. Good. I'll go. When the quilt was lifted, he was stunned. Because she found that the t-shirt on her body and the skinny jeans on her legs were intact. Ronaldo originally thought he would see an indescribable picture, but it turned out. Damn it. If I really did something, how could Lao Tzu dress up like this? That is, I didn't have a with her last night. Dear mother, Ronaldo calmed down. He smiled. With a mocking smile, he said to the woman in front of him, "Ah, dear young lady, do you think I am the despicable and shameless rascal? You don't look in the mirror, just like you, give it to me, I don't want it yet." Adele was originally a little surprised, and at such a moment, she felt a little guilty that she had misunderstood the man in front of her. But when he heard Ronaldo's words, the guilt that had just emerged disappeared instantly, and it was replaced by a burst of anger. Ugly? You dare to call me ugly? 18-year-old Adele is indeed not a beauty in the traditional sense. But her super sense of lens and the unique charm on the lens made her quickly become the most watched actress in the French film industry. In 2007, he starred in his film debut, Big Carton. In 2010, starred in the historical drama Roundup. Adele Ikeachepelos has a natural screen charm, not very beautiful, but the extremely relaxed state and eye-catching temperament cannot be found, belonging to the kind of natural actor who the Grandmaster rewarded the food. Since her debut, she has been carefully cared for by everyone like the stars arching the moon. Thinking about it, this man dares to say that he is ugly. Gee, what's wrong? Did I say something wrong? Ronaldo shrugged. As a public figure, Adele knew she couldn't just get angry. As an actress, she needs to maintain her persona. And as a little flower Dan, she didn't get much opportunity this year. Her agent wants him to go to Hollywood, but she doesn't want to leave France for the time being, but she can't get a card slot for the lead role in France. On weekdays, she suppresses her emotions. And now, her anger is like gasoline ignited by fire. Burst up. What does it matter to you if I'm a beauty? You lower body thinking animal, cut. Ronaldo shrugged. If I hadn't brought you back last night, would you be there now? And what will happen, the devil knows. But I'm sure you'll definitely be 10,000 times worse than you are now. At the very least, I won't be able to stand in front of me neatly and intact and scold Lao Tzu. Ronaldo's mouth is not weak, especially now that he feels that he is reasonable. If Lao Tzu does it, he will recognize it if he is scolded by you. Nothing has been done now. Can I sue you for slander and blackmail? Chicks, Ronaldo faced a girl not knowing anything about Pity Xiang Shiyu, and looked too different from his previous style of puffing girls. Blackmail? Adele smirked angrily. The old lady earns 10 or 20 million a year, will she blackmail you, poor boy? I'm not afraid to laugh off people's big teeth when I say it. Of course, Ronaldo is not a poor boy, a year's annual salary alone is millions of euros, plus various bonuses or something, making 10 million euros a year is not a big problem. But neither of them knew the details of the other. Ronaldo laughed when a woman who appeared out of nowhere, calling herself a poor boy. Poor? Ha, I think in front of me, you are not qualified to call me poor, chick, not qualified? Do you know who I am you? I care who you are. Ugly, disgusting man. Ugly woman with early menopause. An idiot woman with a small chest and no brains. After some arguments, Adele left the apartment where Ronaldo lived in a fit of rage. This fucking bastard. Adele made a fierce look at the gate and turned to leave quickly. And this scene stunned the paparazzi squatting at the door as the main center of Paris Saint-Germain, plus Ronaldo often goes out to nightclubs with his teammates or something, there will naturally be paparazzi squatting at his door. So, when Adele, who didn't do any disguise, came out of Ronaldo's apartment, all the journalists were shocked. What the? Adele is now called France's national daughter actress by the French entertainment media. The national daughter was by Ronaldo. This gang of French journalists hurts. The cigarette in someone's mouth fell directly to the ground. Oh God. This? Is this true? Although no, in front of the Ronaldo door, can definitely squat to the news, but no one would have thought. It's going to be such exciting news. What the? This kid is the scourge of France. Episode 73, Gossip Boyfriend, My Day. On the second day, when the team assembled for training, almost all of his teammates were looking at Ronaldo with a peculiar look of anticipation. Is this true? Is this true? The first time Ariela saw Ronaldo, he shook Ronaldo's shoulder vigorously and shouted at him. What is really fake? Ronaldo was shaken dizzy and confused. Adele. Oh, Adele Ikeachepelos. Ariela went crazy. Who is she? Ronaldo looked confused. Adele is famous in France, but Ronaldo is not French. Don't pretend to be garlic. I really don't know. Ronaldo shook his head. Ariela looked at Ronaldo strangely. Do you really not know who Adele Ikeachepelos is? The teammates next to him also came over, and some people looked at Ronaldo enviously. Oh my god, this kid actually came to Paris in just a few months and hooked up with Adele. This is simply unreasonable. Don't pretend, Luo. Sacco said unevenly. Look what this is. Ronaldo took a newspaper from Sacco. The headline above is very eye-catching. Adele Ikeachepelos gossip boyfriend? Ronaldo. Below is also a photo of Adele walking out of Ronaldo's apartment, an apartment building that many people know, and many teammates went to dinner when the team rented Ronaldo. Ronaldo is a little dissatisfied. Why am I her gossip boyfriend and not Ronaldo's gossip girlfriend? Wait a minute, / Who the hell is this Adele? All eyes were on Ronaldo. Many, like Sacco, were indignant. It was as if Ronaldo had robbed them of something precious. It seems that if Ronaldo didn't give them an explanation today, he wouldn't let him out of the door of this dressing room. Say it. How did you get your hands on this French princess? A group of people were indignant, and others clenched their fists to a crunch. As a result, Ronaldo's answer made them want to beat him up even more. Is she famous? Ronaldo looked confused. Very. Very famous, Ariela said affirmatively. Ronaldo took a closer look at the woman in this picture. It turns out that her name is Adele. It won't be the woman at the bar last night. Sacco suddenly held his head and said. My day. Desperate. Why is this kid so lucky? Ronaldo ignored the strange cries of his teammates. He quickly looked up on the internet to see who this Adele Ikeachepelos was. Adele Ikeachepelos, female, born in 1993, 18 years old this year, a new generation of French Het Hua Dan, a famous actor. Although he is young, he has already starred in many well-known film and television dramas. He is regarded as the next queen-level figure in French film and television. Damn it. Ronaldo was a little depressed. Lao Tzu didn't do anything, and he was kicked. If you know that you will be treated like this, it is better to talk about it first. Ronaldo's teammates are all frying pans at the moment. They all envied Ronaldo's good luck and had the opportunity to share a bed with Adele. I'm going crazy. You guys won't really. What's that, right? Why did such a good thing happen to you? Oh goddess. My goddess is defiled by you. I'm going to duel you. Facing his teammates, Ronaldo shrugged. I don't have any stories with her. Fart. Others say I believe you. I don't believe it. Ariela raised her middle finger. Ronaldo rolled his eyes. What the hell, did not take advantage of anything, and was misunderstood. It's a day, dog. When Adele saw the photo of which man she walked out of the apartment, and the large caption on the photo. She's going crazy too. Originally, she also held herself up too much, people didn't do anything, and she was kicked by herself, and then scolded. So there is still some guilt. Who thought, when I saw this? The ashes of anger that were about to be extinguished seemed to have been blown by a wind, and they burst into flames again. The phone rang. What's going on? What's going on here? Adele, as soon as the phone was called, her agent, Mary Slock, asked with a split face. What? Gossip boyfriend. Boyfriend, Mary reminded her. What boyfriend? Something that doesn't happen, Adele huffed. She didn't like Ronaldo in the first place, and as a result, she was put together by the media. Then how could you? It's a gimmick made by journalists, and in fact I just appeared by chance. Belch. Feed. Hello? I hear that? What's wrong? Adele, Agent Mary heard the critical moment, and suddenly found that Adele's side seemed to have a bad signal, and hurriedly called. Hello? I can't hear you. Mary, my side doesn't have a good signal. Hey. Adele took the phone farther and farther, and then hung up abruptly. She breathed a long sigh of relief. Now she didn't know how to explain it. Let's talk about it later. She picked up the newspaper. This fucking bastard, is it a football player? Well, I'm just trying to figure out who this damn bastard really is. She said this to herself in her heart as she did this. From the newspaper, Adele learned that Ronaldo was still quite well known in Paris. But in the report, the reporter tried everything to convince the reader that Adele and Ronaldo had a leg. Even the details are described a lot. People who don't know think that the paparazzi are hiding in Ronaldo's closet. These meaty descriptions made Adele tremble. This damn football scoundrel. She took her dissatisfaction with the reporter on Ronaldo. Who let her have a deep influence on Ronaldo? If Ronaldo had known, he would have burst into tears. Hemp batch. Lao Tzu was also shot while lying down. Episode 74, Heart Pounding. Adele had just walked out the door when she was blinded by oncoming flashing lights. Even a star like her, who has seen a big scene, did not react. The main thing is that this time the lineup of journalists is too large. In addition to entertainment media, a large number of journalists from sports media also poured in. A big piece of woo-woo. Cameras, camcorders, microphones. Cell phone. Voice recorder. If it weren't for the hotel security guard's efforts to stop him, I am afraid that these reporters would have rushed up and flooded him like a flood. Adele. Adele. Are you and Ronaldo really a couple? How did you get started? Are you on vacation in Paris, privately to date him? These reporters threw out countless questions that made Adele faint. She knew she had to respond. Otherwise, continue to let these media brains make up. I am afraid that the deviation of the report will be even greater. I have nothing to do with that, Ronaldo. Facing the microphone and camera, Adele said with a firm expression. So, how do you explain coming out of his apartment early in the morning? A reporter asked. This problem is indeed very deadly. Before her agent asked him, he was fooled by her signal. Now the reporter is in front of him, how to pretend that the signal is not good? No comment. Adele said. The reporters were obviously dissatisfied with this answer, and they squeezed forward again. How did you meet Ronaldo? How long have you known each other? Where have you come to that? These journalists are iron-hearted and believe that they have a leg with which damn Ronaldo. Adele was extremely sad and indignant. She had no idea how to explain it to the outside world. In the face of these imposing reporters, she knew that she could not escape the siege of these people. She wanted to go out and relax. Now they simply returned to the hotel and let the security guard keep the reporters out of the door. After returning to the room and slamming the door shut, Adele sat on the couch and sulked. That damn Ronaldo. I can't even hang out. Bastard. Rogue. Dislike. Adele scolded in her heart. Actually, this has little to do with Ronaldo. It is mainly due to her personal fame. But at this time, Adele ignored this. It's all Ronaldo's fault anyway. Who called him to talk to himself? Finding a single woman to talk to at a bar is definitely not good. Stinky men everywhere. Blocked by reporters in the hotel. Adele was bored and could only turn on the TV in her hotel room, ready to see if there was any program or something. After a while, after the reporters disperse, they will dress up again in disguise, and then go out. The TV screen flashed, first there was a sound, and then a loud noise came. Adele looked up and saw a close-up of Ronaldo on TV. Paris Saint-Germain's Ronaldo is getting the ball. The voice of the TV narrator sounded in sync. Adele, who was going to change the stage, hesitated. Didn't press it. There are 3 rounds left in the first half of Ligue 1. Now Paris Saint-Germain has 16 wins, 12 wins, 2 draws and 2 defeats, and has 38 points, with both Montpellier and Lyon being 3-pointed. If they win 2 more games, they will basically seal the first half. Although the first half championship is not an honor. But in the history of Ligue 1, the team that wins the half-course championship will most likely win the final league championship. 60 minutes into the game, the score was still 0-0, and Paris Saint-Germain attacked Socox at home in the first half, but did not score. Ronaldo. 1 shot from long range. It's a shame to deflect a little. Now Ronaldo, in addition to his unsolvable header, this long-range shot is also a threat. But unfortunately, so far, he has not scored. Maybe it's the scandal with Adele these days that has more or less affected his state. Saying this, the commentator laughed. Upon hearing an unknown commentator talk about herself and that damn Ronaldo, Adele rolled her eyes and prepared to change the stage. But at this moment, the noise of the scene suddenly increased. Even the voice of the narrator, Daniel Leo, suddenly roared. Across from Galette. Ronaldo. The name made her hand pause slightly. Then he saw the soccer ball flying on the screen. From the other side outside the box, he bypassed the heads of Socox's defenders and flew towards the small penalty area. Turn the camera. I only saw that in the restricted area. Several people jumped at the same time. 3 defenders pinched Ronaldo and tried to push the football out. Even if they can't top the ball, they have to interfere with Ronaldo enough so that he can't top the ball. Adele couldn't help but be attracted by the scene. She's not an avid football fan. But the basic things are still understandable. In the restricted area, the tallest man is Ronaldo. Ronaldo is on top, but he also faces a dilemma. A 3-man strike is no joke. One of the defenders pressed up and weighed his body on him. This is equivalent to holding dozens of kilograms of things and jumping again. This is pulling people. Daniel Leo yelled. In camera footage, a defender clings to Ronaldo's jersey. In order to deal with him, Cox can be said to have exhausted all means. Fall down. Adele said in her heart. If you fall, it's a penalty. This bastard. Penalties or something, Adele is still clear. But Ronaldo didn't do that. In the screen. The bastard held his head high and looked defiant. His eyes were round, his neck and forehead were covered with green meridians, and he was carrying the defender hard. Eyeing football. In this instant, Adele suddenly felt her scalp tingle. She was suddenly excited. Inside the box, in front of goal. Players huddled together. After Ronaldo in the air completed the action of topping the ball, he finally couldn't support it and was pulled down from the air. But the football has flown to the goal. The goalkeeper did not respond. Ronaldo. Ghoul. Hotel in the room. It was instantly occupied by this passionate roar. A stream of heat flowed through Adele's body. That obstruction that ignores everything, that absolute power. Let this scene be full of beauty, make her. Unexpectedly. Exciting. Adele couldn't help but take a deep breath to stabilize her strongly beating heart. Episode 75. The first 75 episode dish is original sin, when the game is over. Compared to the celebratory Paris Saint-Germain players, the Marseille players looked relieved. Lost a 4-0 in a final. This is humiliating for any team. It is said that the final is nameless, because most of the opponents in the final are of equal strength, so they each throw rats and focus more on defense, resulting in most of the final scenes are not good. But this game was different. From the very beginning, Paris Saint-Germain showed the momentum of the inevitable. Absolute strength advantage, crushed Marseille. So, the Marseille players left the stadium as soon as the game ended. And the Parisian players weren't too crazy to celebrate. Because for them, the Coupe de France Cup is just an outpost of this successful season. 99% of the league championships already belong to them. Next, they have to fight for the Europa League. French Cup. It is an appetizer dessert before the big meal. After a brief celebration on the pitch, they were called into the dressing room by the coaching staff. Take a shower, change into a clean multi-year championship t-shirt and get back on the pitch ready to claim the trophy in gold. In the stands at the Stade de France. The fans all stood up and no one could still do it quietly. Marseille fans have long since left the stadium, and those who remain in the stadium are more than 30,000 Paris Saint-Germain fans. It was a season in which Paris Saint-Germain rose again after a brief golden age in the 90s. They suffered a severe fiscal crisis at the beginning of the century, followed by a downturn. And now, the team's performance this season is enough to make Paris fans proudly declare that Paris Saint-Germain is back. This team will be back at the top of the French league. The atmosphere at the height of the team's captain Nicolas Sarko and vice-captain Gallet raised the trophy on the podium. More than 30,000 Paris Saint-Germain fans cheered in unison, "Champion! We are champions, yes! They are champions!" Although it is only the winner of the League Cup in France, it is a starting point for Paris at this moment. They will use that as a starting point. Step on the top again. After Captain Sarko lifted the championship trophy, the trophy came to Ronaldo. It also speaks to Ronaldo's position within the team. Although he never wore the armband of the team's captain. But there is no doubt that Ronaldo is not only the core of the team's game. In the dressing room, he is also an important member. Ronaldo looked at the light reflected on the silver trophy. He was holding the trophy in both hands, and the metallic feeling was so good. He was thrilled. This is the first trophy he has won so far in his career. Very memorable. He first kissed the trophy and then raised it high. The cheers in the stands once again reached a new peak. Thunderous applause. In front of the podium, all the reporters pressed the shutter to record the moment. A few years later, this time when the Celestial Empire player became the most watched superstar in the world, people look back on his career. This photo can't be bypassed. It was his first trophy. This was the beginning of his glory. He engraved his name forever with the history of Paris Saint-Germain. After the game, the whole of Paris fell into a carnival. On the streets, fans wearing Paris Saint-Germain shirts can be seen everywhere. They were drunk, 2, and walked by in groups. Everyone met, whether they still didn't know each other, and shouted together, or hugged, and celebrated the championship together. And almost half of these fans are wearing Ronaldo's number 69 shirt. In just half a season, Ronaldo has conquered here. He is the most fan-loved player in the team. A commercial vehicle drove by slowly. Ronaldo is already the king of this team. Reporter Zhou Jing sighed. Next to her, her colleague also nodded, yes, yes. It's really unimaginable. It is hard to imagine that a Celestial Empire player could enjoy such treatment in Europe, in a city in the center of world football. Within their eyes, Ronaldo's number 69 jersey was everywhere. When reports of Paris Saint-Germain's triumph returned home, almost all the media have enlarged the photo of Ronaldo holding the cup. This is a major breakthrough for Celestial Empire players to stay overseas. Yes, before the Celestial Empire players stayed overseas, most of them played in some middle and lower reaches teams. Not to mention winning the championship, thank goodness for the opportunity to play. But now, there is a Celestial Empire player as the core of the team, leading the team to lift the championship trophy. All this happened in this half year. It's unimaginable. In the past half a year, the fans of the Celestial Empire seem to be dreamy. From the time they heard the name Ronaldo, this Celestial Empire player began to play cards without following the routine. It wasn't news that he scored, but it became news if he didn't score. When Ronaldo returned home with the news of nightclub lingering with his teammates, many people assert that such players have no future. Like most players in the country, they drink, club, pick up girls. It can be said that the shortcomings that can be seen in domestic players, Ronaldo has it all. But he can score goals. He is about to win the top scorer in League 111, having scored 15 goals in the Europa League. No one can threaten his golden boot status anymore. What can you say about such a player? The same bunch of minuses. Ronaldo is more popular. This makes the domestic group of white chopped chickens were to reason. It can only be said. In competitive sports, food is the original sin. Episode 76, Two Rond Families. Originally, Ronaldo planned to buy a plane ticket and return home. Growing up, he had never been away from his hometown for so long. Unexpectedly, Alexander called him and told him that he had finalized a product endorsement contract for Ronaldo. A 1-year endorsement contract with the well-known shampoo brand Clear. The endorsement fee is not too high. After all, Ronaldo is still just emerging in football. Coincidentally, this contract can be negotiated, and it is also related to Adele. In France, Adele is much more famous than Rona, and Alexander also seized this opportunity and signed a successful contract. The endorsement fee is €1 million. Not too high. But it can't be considered low. If it weren't for Ronaldo's affair with Adele, he probably wouldn't have gotten the price. Now, it's up to Ronaldo to sign the contract. There is money to take, of course, there is nothing to hesitate. Ronaldo did not hesitate to sign his name on the contract. Then, Ronaldo took a few photos as Clear requested. In the photo, Ronaldo wears a formal suit and his hairstyle is also taken care of by a dedicated hairstylist. Ronaldo is tall, especially with explosive muscles, which is completely a clothes rack, and he is very tangible after wearing a suit. In addition, he has straight facial features, a straight nose, soared eyebrows, and a very good external image. In fact, female fans in Paris now write courtship letters to Ronaldo every day. Some just ask for one night. If Ronaldo wanted to, he would have no problem singing night and night. It's a pity that these letters can only be enjoyed in private, and he doesn't dare to be so indulgent. After all, he's still an athlete. What if you empty your body early? After taking the print ads, Alexander told Ronaldo that he wanted you to shoot a TV commercial in 2 days. This ad is aimed at the French market, and the whole of France will be able to see the ad by then. The first time he shot a TV commercial, Ronaldo was looking forward to it. He has always been eager to show another side of himself on camera. Young people love to show off. Being able to go to the TV to show off is not good enough. However, when he saw Adele on the commercial set, he doesn't think so. At this time, in the shooting studio, Adele was talking to her agent about this time. The script for the advertisement was in her hands, but she didn't have time to read it. After all, for Adele, with her acting skills, making a commercial is too childish. Something that can be done in 10 minutes. At this time, the thick curtain of the studio was pushed open, and several more people entered. Adele and the others cast their gaze to the door. When she saw the person who came in, Adele's face showed a look of surprise. Because she saw the man who embarrassed him all this time. Ronaldo was very curious about the studio where the advertisement was filmed, and was looking around. At this moment, he saw 2 people next to him. 2 women. Then he froze. Adele was looking at herself stunned. After the people around saw their strange behavior, they also followed suit. And then Maria stood up in surprise. She saw Adele's gossip boyfriend. The parties were the first to react, and then they opened their mouths to be the same. Damn it. Why are you here, my day? Why are you here? Except for the swear words, everything else is the same. The tone was similar, mixed with chagrin and surprise. Why can't I be here? I'm a spokesperson? After discovering that the two of them were speaking in unison again, they both stopped talking. Instead, the advertising director who came in with Ronaldo had a smile on his lips. It's so much fun. They said the same thing twice in a row, saying exactly the same thing. They really have a tacit understanding. The director is very proud of his choice of actors. This advertisement was dialed out, riding the east wind of the scandalous boyfriend incident. My own brand is also on fire. Hot marketing. The director thought proudly. Damn it. I already knew that my partner was this man, so I didn't agree. Adele's head was a little cloudy. He never inquired about the agency, and naturally did not know that Ronaldo had also become a spokesperson. She remembered that the director told him a few days ago that this commercial was made by two spokespeople together, and at that time, he was entangled in his affair with Ronaldo, so he didn't care too much. Now it seems. This was determined at the time. Damn it, / Adele complained inwardly. She was still just complaining in her heart. Thinking of it, Ronaldo said it directly, how can she also be a spokesperson? He turned to his agent, Alexander, and could still keep his voice down. It was only heard by Adele. Adele got up from her chair and seemed to say something. But the next second he stabilized his emotions and sat down again. I originally thought that her anger towards this man had weakened after that, but when she thought of this meeting, her emotions became excited again. I don't know why, this man can always make her lose her cool. You're talking too loudly. Alexander kindly reminded. Ronaldo let out an ah. He is usually a big grin, his voice is also big, and his whisper is definitely not a whisper for ordinary people. How can this be? After reading the script, Adele slammed the script on the table with great atmosphere. Her agent picked up the script with some doubts and read it again. After all, it is the script of the advertising film, and it is not long. Normal, huh? Mary said with some doubt. Where is normal? Which bastard am I going to play a couple with? My day. Ronaldo was also upset. What kind of bad script is this? Why should shampoo advertising have anything to do with couples? This woman is really her own wrongdoer. Forget about encountering it on the set of the commercial. And play as a couple? Isn't this a pit daddy? Play your sister. Now there are rumors outside that we are a gossip couple. Now that this advertisement is broadcasting, isn't this a reality? Nope. I'm going to find a director to change the script. Ronaldo got up from his seat at once. Then he saw Adele, who stood up with him. Humph. The two moved in unison. Sat down again. Why do you want me to go to the director first? Why is it me who shows weakness? The two looked at each other and turned their heads away at the same time. Episode 77, Card. Card. Kaka. Kakaka. Kakakaka. Card. The director doesn't know how many times he shouted stuck, and this one was weak, his voice was hoarse. In front of the camera, neither Adele nor Ronaldo can perform at their best, they don't look like a couple at all. 20 times of a shot is a lot, and the key shots are stuck and clicked. Either Adele's smile was too fake, or Ronaldo's face was bitter. This road stumbled, tossed the entire film crew, and finally came to the last shot. Adele snuggled in Ronaldo's arms. Ronaldo looked down and sniffed her hair, still holding a strand of hair in his hand. Ronaldo was affectionate, and Adele tilted her head and closed her eyes with a happy face. Now it's good, no one can do the feeling that the director wants. The director turned his head to look at the camera, lighting, and other staff with pained faces, and had to shake his head, rest for 15 minutes. No one cheered, and many people simply sat on the ground with their butts. I thought it was a very easy and enjoyable job, but I thought that this was the hardest hours they had ever experienced. It was expected to be done in 2 hours if it went smoothly, which is still a conservative estimate, and the problem is in Ronaldo, a rookie newcomer who has never had acting experience. Adele has already shot an unknown number of commercials, and there is nothing to worry about in this regard. Who thought that Adele's state was also very bad today, so she would shoot so hard? Ronaldo and Adele walked straight back to their respective areas and sat down to rest, paying no attention to anyone, their faces even uglier than before the shoot. The director is confused now. If the two people were going to revise the script before, he thought that these two people were trying to cover up their true relationship. Now the director doesn't think so. If they are really a couple, but they show bitterness and hatred in front of everyone, it can only mean that these two people's acting skills are too good. Shooting advertisements is a waste, and you should be competing for the Oscar statuette. Could it be that the couple had a fight last night? Surname life is not harmonious? The director shook his head and put aside these cranky thoughts. He felt that he still had to communicate with the two of them, otherwise this film could not be filmed, the task could not be completed, and the remuneration would be affected. He got up and looked at the male and female protagonists who were in the easternmost part of the studio and one in the westernmost part of the studio, and frowned. How to talk about this? He first walked up to Adele, we should have a good talk, Maria. He said to Adele with a serious look. Who is the biggest on set? Director Max. Adele still understood this, and she nodded. Very well, follow me. The director waved his hand and motioned for Adele to follow. Watching the director walk towards Ronaldo, Adele hesitated, but still followed, definitely not to show weakness in front of this guy. Adele, who was born in the alternation of winter and spring, has both the tenderness of spring and the stubbornness of winter, and she is unwilling to easily admit defeat. The director walked up to Ronaldo. If you still want to go home early, then let's talk about it separately. Ronaldo's gaze crossed the director and saw Adele walking over. Ronaldo, who was also unwilling to admit defeat, did not want to show weakness in front of a woman, and he stood up. No problem. Good, let's talk to the three of us. I don't care what's going on between the two of you. The director pointed to Ronaldo and Adele. Now it's work. I hope you can be a little professional. You've all been successful in your respective fields, so I don't need to tell you that, right? The director's face was full of anger. He was tossed by these two people for an afternoon, and the mud bodhisattva still had a temper, not to mention him. What's more, he also has to think about his own team. So many people are angry. If he doesn't come out, how can these people cooperate with him in the future? In fact, Ronaldo and Adele both know that fighting like this is not good for others, and it is also a waste of time, but they can't erase their face. After saying this, the director got up and left. He also knows that these two are not ordinary people. They are always a little tempered, and they will save face, and they will pestle here. I'm afraid it's not convenient for them to communicate. Although in fact, he really wanted to eavesdrop on what gossip was between these two. Episode 78. Let's shake hands. The director turned and left. The remaining two sat there in a daze. Ronaldo was a little better. He sat a little further out. He turned to look at the door. The staff is already resting. The lights have also dimmed a lot. Stuck so many times, everyone is tired of tossing. Ronaldo was also a little tired. He even felt more tired than playing a high-intensity game of 90 minutes. Especially in the last shot, he is asked to hold Adele and make an affectionate appearance. To be honest, if it weren't for this chick being so arrogant, this would really be fine. Ronaldo always considered himself a bit of an actor. Isn't it affectionate? What's so hard? Adele also tries to find a place to look to distract herself. However, on the side where she sat was the wall. You can't just look at the wall in a daze, can you? Her gaze naturally shifted to Ronaldo. Somehow, she suddenly remembered her first meeting with him. On that day, the accumulated stress and negative emotions made this little girl who was only 18 years old a little breathless, and with her family not around, no one allowed him to talk to himself. So that day, she walked into the bar for the first time. Then came the encounter with Ronaldo. The one who was holding a wine glass, looking lonely, planning to find a girl to spend the long night with him. She even remembered his opening remarks. It's strange, they drank so drunk that they forgot a lot of things. But I remember that. At first, her impression of Ronaldo was good. A cheerful and lively boy. He appeared in front of her with a wine glass and tried to make her happy. How did they get to where they got here? Adele stared at Ronaldo, dumbfounded. Ronaldo was actually feeling bad now, because he had been staring at the studio for several minutes, and his neck was almost stiff. He couldn't turn back. He felt Adele staring at him. What the hell is this woman doing? Ronaldo cursed in his heart. If he wanted to turn back, he would definitely look at Adele. How embarrassing. So he can only maintain this posture and pretend that he has been staring at the studio. The problem is that a minute of trance can still pretend to be deep, and a few minutes of trance is a burden. How did he know that Adele stared at Ronaldo in a daze, remembering his first meeting with him? To talk about the next day's argument, in fact, the reason is still because of her. If she can pull the quilt away and look at herself first, maybe there will not be so many misunderstandings. At that time, she was too impulsive and blamed the person in front of her. Adele is not the kind of unreasonable person, and this matter is ultimately caused by her misunderstanding of Ronaldo in the first place. I really owe him an apology. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but open her mouth and call, that. Ronaldo glanced at her first. I'm sorry. Adele's voice was soft, and Ronaldo didn't hear it clearly for a while, and he turned his head to look at her, a little puzzled. I'm sorry. Since they had all said it, Adele simply opened up. She said loudly. I misunderstood you. I apologize to you. Ronaldo looked at Adele with a surprised expression. He didn't expect that he would hear such an initiative to show weakness from the mouth of this big-name star. His initial plan was that if Adele and himself were tough to the end, then he would also harden with her, so that she would know if she was incompetent. How to think that the other party turned out to be soft. Ronaldo is a bit of a soft man who doesn't eat hard, and if you are hard with him, he will be hard to the end, unless you can break him. If it's tough, Ronaldo has many ways to overcome the other side. But in the face of Adele, who suddenly softened, he didn't know what to do. Yes, he was at a loss. Saying I'm sorry made Adele's heart suddenly lighten, and she could look at the boy in front of her without burden. The expression on his face changed wonderfully in a very short time. Panicked, surprised, overwhelmed. And a hint of shame. God testifies that Adele really saw the look of shame on Ronaldo's face. When she accused him of being a rogue, when she quarreled with him, he didn't feel a trace of guilt. But now, he turned out to be shy. Adele suddenly felt that the boy in front of her was very interesting. Ronaldo reacted, and Adele was indeed apologizing to him. Girls have taken the initiative to apologize. As a man, they can't be too careful, right? Besides, it's just a few spats, and the other party doesn't really know what happened to him. So he tried to make the smile on his face look more natural and said, "Forget it, I'm also at fault for this. If only my attitude could be better. But I'm like this, sometimes when my temper is urgent, it's easy to get excited. Don't go to your heart. Plus I said you are." Adele knew what he was going to say and quickly stopped him. "You don't have to repeat this again." Ronaldo was amused by her anxious look and did not say the last words. Adele saw Ronaldo smile, and only then felt that her performance just now was a little. That one. So she also laughed, a little embarrassed. Ronaldo took the initiative to extend his hand to Adele. "Shake your hand." Adele held the other's hand. This was actually the first time she had consciously made physical contact with the other party. At the bar, she drank too much and couldn't remember if she had any physical contact with Ronaldo. It's the same with Ronaldo. The softness that was gently held by him was really unimaginable. It was such a soft girl who looked soft and weak, and actually dared to yell at such a strong man of 190 centimeters as him. The director hid in the shadows and saw the two people holding hands together, and he finally smiled. "Well, the real essence of this pitch is coming soon. Don't wait for the advertisement. There are so many acquaintances in the media circle. Those entertainment journalists certainly don't know that Adele and Ronaldo collaborated on a clear commercial, right? When the time comes. Hey. It doesn't cost too much advertising, but it can achieve amazing results. This is the real advertising. What is a commercial film? Being able to get the whole society, the news media and fans to participate in it and promote the product brand is the greatest advertising." Episode 79. So what is our relationship? The director thought well. The omnipotent media quickly found out. A couple of gossip lovers who were hyped up before. Now we actually shot an advertisement together. And the point is, they still play a couple. When the media learned the news, they all had a triumphant smile on their faces, finally caught by the fox's tail. This is the time. The evidence is overwhelming. The media were very proud. Playing tricks in front of our uncrowned king? Self-inflicted humiliation. After the Adele commercial, she will spend a few days in Paris. He thought that after he and Ronaldo clarified the misunderstanding, there should be no trouble. But when he walked out the hotel door, she knew that she was still too young, too simple. The crazy journalists were not controlled by her and Ronaldo. They flocked to her frantically. "I heard that you collaborated with Ronaldo on a commercial? Does that prove that you're in a relationship? How does it feel to shoot with your boyfriend?" Adele fled. Returned to the hotel room. Of course. This time, he didn't blame Ronaldo. After returning to the room, she called the agent. "Mary, do you have a way to get Ronaldo's contact information? I mean, preferably a mobile phone number?" Mary was a little surprised. At the time of the commercial, Adele's relationship with his legendary gossip boyfriend was in his eyes. The two of them definitely couldn't be a couple. Otherwise their relationship wouldn't have been so bad. "What do you want his phone for?" "Adele, I left after filming the ad that day, and I forgot to tell him something. Anyway, help me get his phone first, Mary." That's it. After speaking, he hung up the phone. I really didn't expect that the wind of shooting an advertisement with Ronaldo leaked out so quickly. And it's good to die that he shot the couple episode, playing a couple in the commercial. This advertisement has not yet come out. If the advertisement comes out, won't those media have a better chance to play with the topic? Although the misunderstanding between her and Ronaldo has been eliminated, there is no longer any dissatisfaction and disgust. But ask her to be a couple with him. She felt she still couldn't do it. Although Ronaldo is in good shape, he is not ugly. But none of that was a reason to convince herself. What's more, this identity was forcibly installed by the media. Compared to Adele, Ronaldo was much luckier. Because it's winter break, the team's house price is up. The team is in the house, and naturally, the next thing is to go home. He was separated from his parents for half a year and also missed home. Just take this opportunity to go back and see, it can be regarded as a homecoming. So after filming the advertisement, Ronaldo bought a plane ticket and searched for local products in Paris for 2 days, intending to take home to honor his parents or something. Then we head to the airport and prepare to board the flight home. On the way to the airport, Ronaldo received a call from Adele. "Hello, I'm Adele." Adele introduced herself and planned to talk to Ronaldo about how to deal with reporters. As a result, Ronaldo's first sentence made her angry half to death. "Huh? How are you?" It sounds very unexpected and cold. As if he didn't want her to make this call at all. Adele hung up the phone angrily. She found herself as if she was in line with this Ronaldo. When you face him, you will always lose your cool easily. This damn bastard. If you have a good attitude, you will die? Originally, Adele thought that the other party would say something like hello when she picked up. The result is a cold, "How are you?" It seems that he is very unpopular. If I couldn't find someone to discuss, I wouldn't have called you. Ronaldo looked at the phone in his hand, a little puzzled. I saw an unfamiliar number calling, and found that it was Adele. Of course, it will be a surprise. Isn't it normal to ask that? It's just that he didn't think that the girl's mind is delicate, and the reaction that he thinks is very normal, maybe in the hearts of others, it means something else. Ronaldo shook his head depressedly. Just then, the phone rang. Still this number. He picked up. "Hey. I said you are neurotic." Adele was angry and wanted to vomit blood. Almost hung up again. But fortunately, with the first time, he was somewhat prepared. So, it was still stable. This damn straight man. "Ronaldo. I called to discuss the problem with you. Can you have a better attitude? Why are you like this? Do you talk to people casually?" Adele said with some anger. Hey, you hung up after you called." Ronaldo also held it up inexplicably. You. When Adele thought about it, it seemed that she was too impulsive. This phone hangs up, too natural, too fast, he is thunderous, and the bell rings. "Okay, what do you have to say?" Ronaldo on the other end of the phone said. He didn't bother to entangle with Adele, get old, and seemed to be careful. "Are you free now?" Adele calmed her mood. "On the way to the airport." "You're going to an away game?" "Winter break, big sister, the team house price is up, go home." "Oh. Have you met journalists?" "Hee, I dressed up in disguise, and got rid of them." Ronaldo remembered the group of reporters crouched at the door when he went out. Fortunately, he had the foresight to let the taxi master wait at the door first, and then he quickly pulled the door and entered, without giving the reporter any chance to ask questions. Ronaldo said proudly. He's an athlete, and the reporters are catching up with him. "What about you? Have you met journalists?" Adele said a little dejectedly. "I was blocked by them at the door of the hotel." Compared to Ronaldo, she is weaker. Speaking of this, Adele's mood was a little low. What a thing to be stuck in a hotel all day. The two chatted like this. It wasn't until Ronaldo arrived at the airport that he reacted. "Oops, I fell to the airport." Ronaldo exclaimed. When you get to the airport, you can't talk, at least the environment is not suitable for chatting. "What if I meet a reporter again?" Adele asked. "You just say, no comment." Is that good? Ronaldo doesn't know if it's good or not. "Do you want to tell this story to these journalists from beginning to end? How long will that take?" Ronaldo didn't know what to say for a while. Hearing Ronaldo's silence, Adele also knew that he could only say so now, so he said goodbye to Ronaldo and hung up the phone. Ronaldo took the phone and the taxi had arrived at the airport. Pull the salute and walk into the airport. Pick up your ticket, enter the gate, board the plane. That's when he received a text message on his phone. It's still from the same number from before. It seems that this number is Adele's number. I don't think no comment can't solve the problem. Ronaldo deposited the number into his phone. Then texted Adele back, "What do you think should be done?" I don't know." "Then what do you think is our relationship now?" The text message was sent out, and there was no response. Ronaldo is getting on the plane. He looked at the screen. The woman had not responded. He had to shut down the computer at the urging of the flight attendant. Episode 80, Ronaldo's popularity. Adele looked at the phone screen and was stunned. The screen has gradually darkened, and eventually nothing can be seen, the phone goes into standby. But she remembered it clearly. "So what do you think we are in now?" "Yes, what is the relationship?" "Friend?" Adele shook her head vigorously. If this was a friend, wouldn't she be friends with those she hated? Foe? Is there an enemy who can talk on the phone for more than half an hour? A partner at work? It seems more reliable, but how to explain that she came out of Ronaldo's apartment before work? This is the biggest flaw and the biggest secret of the relationship between the two of them. She couldn't say that she had drunk too much and was taken to his house by Ronaldo, right? In that case, who have you become? I'm not the kind of bus you can just get on for money. After thinking about it, Adele didn't figure out what the relationship between herself and Ronaldo was, so she replied with a rhetorical question, "What do you think?" The same half a day did not hear back. Adele frowned and waited for a while, and simply hit it directly. She didn't know where her impulse came from, so she dialed it directly anyway. But the news on the other end of the phone seemed to pour cold water on her. "Sorry, the phone you called is turned off." Ronaldo didn't see the last piece of information, he was on the plane right now. But for some reason, he always seemed to think of Adele's appearance. He used to be a little prince of nightclubs. It can be regarded as a person passing through the flowers, and a leaf does not stick to the body. Just as Ronaldo was thinking about it, he suddenly heard it. Oops. He subconsciously stretched out his hand and only felt a burst of fragrant wind. He reached out and supported a woman. A woman with long straight black hair and a very temperamental look. "Thank you," the woman said in shock. Before the plane took off, she slumped her stiletto heels as she walked down the passage. If it weren't for Ronaldo's help, I'm afraid that this time, she would have fallen, not lightly. Ronaldo looked at the woman. She looks very quiet, her facial features are beautiful, and she can be regarded as a beauty. If it had been before, Ronaldo would have had to take a sip. But today, he was still thinking about things, so he nodded, "Raise your hand." Perhaps it was the Chinese that Ronaldo used, which made the woman take a serious look at Ronaldo. And then, she was stunned. "Are you Ronaldo?" Ronaldo was stunned. "You know me? Hey, who in the country doesn't know you?" The woman stood up, straightened the white shirt she was wearing, stretched her body, and undoubtedly revealed her beautiful figure. Many of the men on the plane looked here. Ronaldo couldn't help but look sideways. This woman is quiet and looks as pure as the little sister next door. But the figure is quite material. "You are a Paris Saint-Germain player. This is something that everyone knows. Am I famous?" "Of course, football fans across the country and sports media across the country are very curious about you," the woman said seriously. "How did you get to Paris? Where are you from? Are you really a Celestial Empire nationality?" In an instant, the woman threw out several questions in a row. She leaned closer, her face eager. This made Ronaldo frown slightly. Sorry." The woman hurriedly stood up. "I am the reporter of the sports newspaper in France. My name is Zhou Jing," the woman said. "Mr. Luo, I don't know. May I interview you?" Zhou Jing's eyes were eager. "This is Ronaldo." These months. This name simply shook the football circle of the entire Celestial Empire. Such a person suddenly became the main center striker of France. And it's still the half-course golden boot of Ligue 1. However, such a person, the information of the domestic media about him is only: name, Ronaldo, age, 18, height 190 centimeters, nationality, Celestial Empire. So, where is he? Why did he appear in France? Appeared at Paris Saint-Germain? Is he a registered player in the Football Association? Since Ronaldo had previously been expelled from the club, his profile had also been deleted. Moreover, the Celestial Empire of Noda, plus now, is the era of informationization explosion. True and false information is in the mud. Really fake Ronaldo information is available online. In this case, even Chuan's online posts that knew Ronaldo did not attract much attention. Now the key is: if only any regular media could get Ronaldo's interview first. Preferably the kind of video. Definitely a big flow. This. Ronaldo touched his chin. Journalist interview? This seems to be okay. Moreover, it is also a good opportunity to become famous. Young people, after all, still love to show off. Yes. Ronaldo said. Zhou Jing suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. Being the first to get an exclusive interview with Ronaldo is definitely a big breakthrough in her career. If only he could have a better personal relationship with Ronaldo. Her voice in the sports newspaper will be even greater in the future. It's great for journalists to be able to build personal relationships with celebrities. And what Ronaldo didn't know was, at this time in the country, a photo circulated on Weibo and quickly appeared on the hot search. Ronaldo is home. The flight he was on. It landed at Yongqing Baiyun Airport. The news quickly exploded the fan and media circles. Book a ticket to Yongqing now. Ronaldo is home. Yongqing Baiyun Airport. Did you go to pick up the airport? Go, 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 my day. League 1 halfway golden boot. This is the biggest card in the history of Celestial Empire football, right? I'm awesome. The country boiled.